In today's video, we're going to install this 2-position push-pull headlight switch for Willys Jeeps. This works on models 41 through 71. One of the key differences between the Kaiser Willys switch and a standard auto parts store switch is the lack of a thermal breaker. These Jeeps don't use a fuse box like a modern vehicle. All the power from your regulator or alternator comes through this breaker. So this is a 30 amp thermal breaker on the back of the switch. And it goes to your amp meter and all your other accessories. They also don't use a relay to operate the headlights, so when you pull the headlight switch, all the power from the bulbs, so the amperage, all goes through these terminals on the switch. Modern light-duty switch like this works for a relay-style operation, but on a factory Jeep, this isn't enough of a switch to handle the load to your lights. If you have too heavy a load on your system, a short somewhere in your system, or if the switch itself actually fails, that thermal breaker will trip and protect the system from melting or catching on fire. The original headlight switch in this Jeep has actually begun to fail, and under certain conditions the thermal breaker on the back will trip because there's a short somewhere inside this switch. And if you can hear it tripped, in a minute you'll hear it reset. It's an automatic reset and the light will come back on. So this switch is no good. Time to pull it out and put the new switch in. Anytime you're working on the electrical system, it's best practice to remove the battery terminals and confirm that you've disconnected all power to the vehicle.
Now that we know the power has been disconnected, put the switch in the on position, then take a 3/32 Allen wrench and find the little set screw on the bottom, back it out a few turns. Then simply unscrew the knob. For the next step, grab a 5/8 wrench. We'll use that to remove the nut from the panel. Try to support the switch from the back side so it doesn't spin. Anytime I'm working on electrical, I try to take a lot of detailed pictures of the color of the wires, the location, and the orientation. It really helps when you go to put things back together. I'll put this image up here for reference to check the color and location. It also shows you what they power, but definitely check your Jeep to make sure it's correct. Once you have pictures and you're confident you know where everything goes, grab a 3/8 socket and remove the studs from the breaker. You'll need a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 3 screws from the front terminals. The new switch is an exact match, but boy does it look better. Prep the new switch by taking that 3/32 Allen wrench and removing the knob. Remove the panel nut. Before you throw out your old switch, we'll use it as a template to set the depth on the locking nut. This nut controls how far the threads poke through the front of the panel. If you have it too far back, the nut won't get tight on the panel. If you have it too far forward, the threads on the nut won't grab. I set this one to exactly what the old switch was. I like to make sure everything's nice and loose before I go under the dashboard. This part requires patience. Look at your pictures and make sure you get the orientation correct. The wires are stiff, the screws are very short, and there's not a lot of room to work. Take your time, step away if you need to, but you'll get it. Be careful not to over-tighten the terminals when you put everything back together. They need to be snug, but you want to be careful not to break the composite portion of the switch. Carefully feed the switch back through the hole and install the panel nut. I like to support the back side of the switch with my other hand so it doesn't turn as you tighten the nut. Once it's snug, you can thread on your new knob. Line the lettering up so that you're happy with it and tighten down the set screw. Before you reconnect the battery terminals, reach behind the panel and make sure that nothing metal is contacting the terminals. We are now ready for power. This switch does more than just turn on the headlights, so make sure all your bulbs function. Also check your fuel gauge and amp meter and instrument panel lighting to make sure everything's hooked up correctly.
And that's how you replace the headlight switch using the Kaiser Willys 2-position switch. I'll put a link to this part in the description, and make sure you use code REDEYEGARAGE10 at checkout to save 10% on your next order. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.